A brand new Mercedes-Benz now costs just 170,000 RMB, and with subsidies you can drive it home for barely over 150,000. Not imports, but locally made models. Even imported Benzes, once untouchable status symbols, have plunged to 210,000 RMB, and after subsidies, some roll out for only 180,000 or 190,000 RMB. Has the Chengdu International Auto Show gone mad? An Audi A6 is selling for just 250,000 RMB, about 35,000 USD. Add a 300 RMB city subsidy, 10,000 from the government, 13,000 from 5 provinces, and even 2,000 RMB from Douyin fans. Discounts are everywhere. Meanwhile, BYD is sinking into chaos. Warehouses are overflowing with unsold EVs, and even shocking markdowns can't move them. Worse, buyers complain their new cars are bursting into flames within days. Once praised as the people's car, BYD has turned into a social media nightmare. The knockout blow came when legendary investor Warren Buffett dumped all his shares, crushing public trust. From the pride of China's EV boom, BYD is now the face of its collapse. One furious owner said, "I bought my car 7 days ago. Before I even got the plate, it caught fire and burned to ashes." China's auto market is spiraling. At Chengdu, luxury giants Audi, Mercedes, and BMW slashed prices to shocking lows. A C-Class Benz goes for 190,000 RMB, an Audi A4 for 170,000. But even these record cuts can't save sales. Many say this feels like the Evergrande moment of China's car industry. A blogger reported, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, their aura is gone. I asked about the cheapest C-Class. Salespeople said 250,000 to 260,000 RMB on paper, but with discounts it falls much lower. Every model is crashing in price. How cheap? A bare-bones C260L is just 190,000 with a loan. An Audi A4, 170,000 with financing. A Q5? Barely 220,000. Even the BMW 3 Series is down to 250,000, 260,000. Whether cash or loan? The numbers are almost the same. Zcar, a major wholesaler, summed it up. It's simple. China already has far too many cars. Surveys show most dealerships are bleeding money, drowning in unsold stock, while manufacturers still borrow from state-owned banks to expand. The new economic news exposed the hard truth. Auto inventory exploded by 3.5 million units, the highest in 2 years. Picture parking lots jammed with brand new cars, some with 0 mileage, dumped at half price as used. From January to April, sales looked strong. By July, the market collapsed. Joint venture brands are taking the heaviest losses. Honda plunged 35%. BMW sold just 40,000 cars, nearly 10,000 less than June. Audi fell by another 10,000. Mercedes-Benz, once the king of gasoline cars, collapsed by 40%. In July alone, luxury sales fell to just 170,000 units, down 29% in a single month. Even with massive price wars, demand has evaporated. The future of China's auto industry looks darker than ever. Consulting giant AlixPartners warns that out of 129 EV brands, only 15 might survive by 2030. Great Wall's own chairman admits the industry has hit its Evergrande moment, and experts say a deadly cycle of overcapacity and cutthroat price wars is dragging the entire sector into a death spiral. The numbers don't lie. In just the first half of 2024, 30 Chinese automakers combined made only 37.7 billion RMB in profit, while Toyota alone pocketed more than 220 billion RMB in a single year. So how did China's dream of becoming an auto superpower collapse into chaos? The answer lies in years of reckless government policy. For more than a decade, Beijing pumped endless subsidies into electric vehicles. From 2009 to 2017, local governments threw money, land, and tax breaks at automakers, chasing jobs and revenue at any cost. The result? By 2024, China's auto factories had the capacity to churn out 55 million cars a year, almost twice what the market could possibly absorb. This overcapacity sparked a ruthless price war. A survey found only 3 in 10 dealers are actually making money, while most slash prices 20% below cost just to survive. Some throw in massive kickbacks, others even sell at a loss to meet quotas. Desperate dealers resort to tricks like relabeling brand new cars as 0-kilometer used cars and dumping them on the gray market. Meanwhile, across China, brand new vehicles are stacking up in haunting car graveyards, a chilling symbol of a once booming industry now drowning in its own excess. In Kunming, a shocking scene has stunned the public. On a steep mountainside, tens of thousands of brand new cars sit untouched, stacked so tightly they look like a sea of metal covering the entire slope. None will ever hit the road. Most are already destined for the scrapyard. One witness said, "Just look at this." And people still think car prices can rise? Forget it. In a few years, not just new cars, even second-hand ones will be worthless. The replacement cycle is too short, demand is collapsing, and China's used car market is drowning in oversupply. Amid this chaos, the struggles of BYD, the so-called crown jewel of China's EV industry, are even more alarming. Since May, BYD's sales at home have dropped 10% compared to last year, ending its streak of relentless growth. Its August earnings report shocked investors. Net profit plunged 30%, marking the first decline in 3 years. The market's reaction was brutal. Shares crashed 8% in one day, erasing more than $6 billion. Over just 4 months, BYD has lost nearly $45 billion in market value. Then came the earthquake. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway completely exited its BYD position. After 17 years of holding shares, Buffett finally dumped every last stock, fueling speculation that insiders already know the endgame. Many now see this move as the final nail in the coffin of one of China's biggest hype-driven success stories. Even worse, BYD's financials are raising eyebrows. The company claims a huge profit of 40.3 billion RMB in 2024, yet it has been stalling payments and leaning heavily on commercial bills to delay obligations. Critics openly question this contradiction. How can a company boasting such massive profits still struggle to pay its bills on time? These two realities cannot exist together. Adding to the storm, reports suggest BYD quietly lowered its 2025 sales goal from 5.5 million cars to just 4.6 million. The reason traces back to policy. BYD's meteoric rise was fueled by subsidies and dirt-cheap prices. But when Beijing cut subsidies at the end of 2022, car costs for consumers shot up, forcing BYD into brutal price wars. That tactic kept it afloat through 2023, but now regulators are clamping down on extreme discounts, stripping BYD of its most powerful weapon. The real nightmare, however, is BYD's cash flow. Regulators now require automakers to pay suppliers within 60 days, but BYD has long stretched payments to nearly 275 days on average. The sudden tightening has pushed its financial chain to the breaking point. Overseas markets provided temporary relief, but looming restrictions on Chinese EVs in Europe and the US threaten to shut those doors. Meanwhile, at home, a flooded market and delayed model launches are crushing investor confidence. Looking back, BYD started humbly as a battery manufacturer in 1995, entered the car business in 2003, and with massive subsidies by 2016, rose to become China's poster child for new energy vehicles. But now, the company faces the harshest reckoning in its history. The deeper problem isn't just BYD, it's systemic. Beijing wants jobs and tax revenue, but automakers are desperate to survive. These goals collide head-on, fueling a destructive cycle that could drag the entire industry down. The future of China's auto sector, and perhaps its wider economy, hangs in the balance. "I've fixed cars for over 20 years, but I've never seen anything like this," he said. "Look at this. It's smoking but not burning. I put a rag near it. The smoke keeps coming back. Even pouring water doesn't stop it. What on earth is this? Can we even breathe this safely?" Consumers are voicing their frustration too. One owner fumed. "I spent over 200,000 RMB on a BYD. After just 2 summers, the steering wheel is peeling apart. The quality is worse than a cheap van. Who would buy this? Another showed his car online. The steering wheel melted in the heat. Look, it's completely ruined. What should I do now? A driver in Hangzhou told a terrifying story. On February 24, 2025, my BYD Song Plus suddenly broke down in an empty underground garage. The battery was full, but the car refused to start. The screen flashed errors. No one answered my calls, and within an hour the battery dropped to 20%. In the freezing dark, I was stranded and helpless. China's auto market, once a national pride, is collapsing. BYD, Mercedes, Audi, BMW, and more are buried under unsold cars as trust collapses over breakdowns, fires, and poor quality. Sales are plunging, losses are massive, lots are overflowing, and foreign investors are fleeing. The auto industry's crash is now a reflection of China's sinking economy. China's own Beijing Economic Daily has confirmed that inventory levels have exploded to the highest point in nearly 2 years. Warehouses are full, and parking lots have literally turned into giant storage yards. Dealers are slashing prices, sometimes by half, and even new cars are quietly being pushed into the used car market as packaged zero-mile vehicles. The numbers are staggering. More than 3.3 million unsold vehicles, equal to giving every person in Shenzhen a car and still having 500,000 left over. Inventory turnover is stuck at 57 days, far above the safe limit of 36. The reason is clear: overproduction. The China Automobile Dealers Association says July's warning index rose to 57.2%, showing the market is cooling fast. Nearly half of dealers admitted sales fell sharply, many by more than 5%. Why? After the Lunar New Year, carmakers ramped up production, but wallets stayed thin. Heavy discounts earlier this year already drained much of the demand. EV makers keep expanding aggressively, crushing the space for traditional brands. Each unsold car costs dealers 300 yuan per month in storage fees, forcing everyone, BYD, Geely, Changan, Great Wall, even Tesla, to launch desperate incentives, zero down payments, interest-free loans, trade-in subsidies. But beneath these flashy deals, profits have collapsed. In 2024, the average car price fell 9.2%, and industry-wide profit margins slipped below 3%. Some companies are selling at a loss just to survive. And now, things may get worse. China's Ministry of Industry and IT plans to ban the resale of new cars within 6 months of registration, aiming to crack down on fake sales and zero-mileage used cars. On paper, it's about cleaning up the market. In reality, it could strangle dealers, eliminate cheap inventory cars, and block one of the few ways struggling automakers can move stock. For consumers, that means fewer bargains and less room to negotiate. For dealers, it could be the final blow. Industry experts warn July to September is the last window for manufacturers to dump inventory before the real storm hits. Prices will likely collapse further in the next 30 days, and what's happening now isn't just a price war, it's a purge. Many believe that within 3 years, half of China's automakers could disappear. The auto industry, once a pillar of China's growth, is now staring at a future that looks eerily similar to the country's real estate meltdown. It's unbelievable. Buying a car in China today feels more like gambling than shopping. People used to joke about waiting years for an apartment, but now the same thing is happening with cars. Imagine paying the full price up front, only to be told, come back in half a year when production is finished. That's exactly what happened to one customer who ordered Xiaomi's SU7. The after-sales team even warned him if he didn't complete the payment within 7 days, his order would be canceled. He handed over every cent, yet the car was nowhere to be found. For buyers, this trick feels even nastier than the stock market. Some say it's the same playbook used by Xu Jiayin of Evergrande. Another netizen summed it up perfectly. We were burned by delayed housing projects, now we're being fooled by delayed cars. He argued this isn't about one single brand, but a bigger question. Should consumers continue to accept such schemes or start resisting them? When you compare housing delays with car delivery delays, the problems look eerily similar. In real estate, developers' financial chains broke down, leaving unfinished buildings and unpaid homeowners. Buyers had already poured in money, yet their apartments never materialized. Now, the auto industry is showing the same cracks. Customers pay first. But if a company's capital chain breaks, cars may never roll off the production line. The second issue is bait and switch. Model homes look glamorous, but final delivery is cheap and unfinished. Cars now follow the same path. The ads show luxury configurations and impressive features, but when the car arrives, key functions are cut and accessories are missing. It's a sophisticated form of false advertising, a consumer trap in broad daylight. The third problem is timing. In real estate, long delays meant houses lost value before delivery. Sometimes loans were bigger than the home's actual worth. In cars, the same thing is happening. While buyers wait endlessly for a new car, a 0-kilometer used car can already be picked up from the second-hand market for less money and no delay. The gap feels like outright theft. To make matters worse, contracts are full of loopholes. Housing deals were notorious for hidden clauses, one-sided terms, and vague compensation. Now pre-order car contracts are following the same script. Once a dispute arises, consumers are trapped in endless procedures and high costs to defend their rights. Automakers, meanwhile, act tough and dodge responsibility. Some netizens believe this delay strategy is just the first step in a bigger cash recovery game. One bold theory suggests automakers could launch new models while buyers are still waiting for their old ones. Then they encourage deposit holders to switch to the new car instead of getting the old one. Repeat that cycle again and again, and suddenly the company never needs to build the old cars at all. If customers refuse to switch, the company simply demands final payment immediately. Fail to pay, and you lose your deposit. At that point, your 5,000 yuan deposit isn't really for a car. It's just a ticket to keep waiting, always hoping, never receiving. And for those who can't wait, the ironic solution is to walk across the street to the 0-kilometer used car market, where the same car is available right now, cheaper and ready to drive home. If this infinite delay plus deposit transfer model spreads, the Chinese auto market will spiral into dangerous territory. Production will no longer be about cars, but about creating expectations. Profits won't come from technology or quality, but from drawing financial illusions and recycling deposits. The industry could repeat the exact tragedy of real estate, turning cars into speculative financial products instead of reliable goods. Once consumer confidence collapses, the supply chain will backfire, and the entire industry could implode. Imagine buying a car and feeling like you've walked straight into a trap. Consumers hand over deposits, sometimes the full price, but what they actually receive is a never-ending timeline, delivery pushed back, promised features quietly removed, and prices that swing wildly. Buying a car has stopped being a purchase and started feeling like a gamble. Behind the scenes, the supply chain takes the hit. Part suppliers wait months for payment, dealers run out of cash, and the whole ecosystem gets squeezed dry. When upstream vendors are unpaid and downstream sellers can't fund sales, the industry's financial stress spreads like a contagion. That stress eats away at jobs and investment confidence. EVs were positioned as one of China's few growth engines, but if the bubble bursts, layoffs will ripple through factories, parts makers, logistics, sales networks, and beyond. If the market turns into an endless pre-order machine with no real deliveries or tech progress, consumer trust will evaporate and the sector's reputation will collapse. Sound familiar? It should. The country's property crash followed the same playbook: debt-fueled growth, illusionary demand, then a rapid unwinding. Great Wall Motors chairman Wei Jianjun didn't mince words. He warned that an Evergrande of the auto world has already emerged and called for audits of carmakers. He argued some firms are more focused on inflating market value than on building sustainable businesses, and that this could tip the fragile market over the edge. A commentator online pushed the point further. Don't waste time guessing which tiny startup will be the next giant to fall. The real danger lies in big players running on borrowed time. Evergrande collapsed because it was a facade built on relentless borrowing, new loans to cover old debts, expansion without cash, and a product, real estate, that can't be turned over quickly when demand cools. The auto sector risks the same fate. The core problem for many EV makers is not just debt, but dependency. Key components, batteries, motors, control systems, are often bought from outside. That raises costs and leaves no in-house tech to fall back on when problems happen. Suppliers squeezed for cash can cut corners on quality to survive. The result? Cheaper-looking cars, growing safety risks, and angry consumers left holding the bill. As Wei asked bluntly, how can you chop 10,000 yuan off a car and still promise top quality? The answer scares everyone. When Wei's comments hit the internet, automakers scrambled to defend themselves. BYD's brand and PR director Li Yunfei publicly rejected the Evergrande of Autos label, arguing that China's mainstream carmakers have healthier asset and liability profiles than critics claim, and that sweeping negative takes on the EV industry are unfair and irresponsible. BYD said it has alerted authorities about damaging rumors and will pursue legal action against those spreading harmful misinformation.